Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 143 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Now, go and check out the book that we released 1 month ago. It's called From Letters to Leaders, Creating Impact on Your College Campus and Beyond. Of course, it's available on your Kindle, only $2.99 right now, or you can have the paperback shipped to you for $9.99 on Amazon. You're absolutely going to love it. And we certainly do talk about sexual assault prevention in the book. So this is a really good tie-in because today we have with us Sabrina Osso. Sabrina is founder and CEO of OSSO SAFE, to feel safe where you live, work, and play. She is a TEDx speaker, she's a real estate agent, and she's a consultant on promoting safety and preventing violence in the workplace, schools, and in places of residence. She's combining education and technology because clients can save lives and also their bottom lines. Sabrina's personal and professional experience with the subject allow her to bring a unique and holistic approach for employers, for landlords, tenants, students, and also teachers. Welcome to the show, Sabrina.
Hi, how are you, Michael? Thank you so much. And it's pronounced Osso. Sabrina Osso. Osso, yes.
There you go. So it's OSSO SAFE. See, now I get it. Now it makes a lot more sense to me, right?
OSSO right. That's okay. That's okay.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, I think this is fantastic. So I want to make sure that our listeners get a chance to really understand your background. And so you decided on Montclair State University for your undergraduate experience. Why Montclair State?
Yes. I liked the campus. I had visited as I'm sure, as you know, as a high school student, you go to a number of college campuses and you just feel it out. You know, you meet different people, the administrator and the student activities people. And Montclair, I liked that it was, the buildings were spaced, but they weren't like very, very far away. It was close, but not like on top of each other. And so it was a nice mix. And I just liked the feel of the campus. And I didn't dorm there. So I commuted every day back and forth. But all in all, in hindsight, it was a good choice, So thank you for asking that question, because I don't think anyone has ever asked me that.
Yeah, I think it's important. I like to know a little bit more about people's undergraduate experience. Obviously, we have a lot of undergraduate students that listen to our podcast. So understanding, why they chose that particular institution, was it a good experience for them or not, I think is really helpful for our listeners to kind of shape up their own understanding of why they are where they are and kind of do an evaluation. Is this the right fit for me? And is this continuing to be the right fit or not,
Right. I agree.
Very nice. Now, I did watch your TEDx talk, and you mentioned in that talk all of the nonprofit mailings that you get at home, and you showed this big stack of envelopes, which I get the same thing. I get all kinds of nonprofits looking for donations and things like that. But for you, your passion is all about preventing violence in the workplace, in schools, and in our homes. Now, I'm also passionate about the same topic, but I'm wondering, why are you so passionate about this particular cause?
Well, I like to say that, just to clarify, I don't see this as a cause. I'm not a charity. I'm not a nonprofit. And as I say in my TEDx talk, I respect them all. But I feel that if I had designed my business as a nonprofit, as a charity, then and there's many of them out there, I feel like we keep the problem in place when we treat it as a charity, as a nonprofit, where we're kind of holding a bucket and waiting for donations to drop in that bucket, because then there's no motivation, there is no incentive to actually resolve this problem, this epidemic of violence that we have across the globe. So I said to myself, how can I really make a positive impact, whether you're a victim or not? And I did think about becoming a nonprofit. And then when I spoke to nonprofits, they said, you know what, Sabrina, there are so many of us out there. It's good that you're not a nonprofit, because then you're competing with nonprofits for the same thing. And it's good that you're treating this as a business, so that way you're differentiating yourself from the rest of us. And by combining education and technology, I feel like we just have a very different approach, and that it will actually get resolved. Because as you know, as all of us know, with nonprofits, somebody has to be making the money, right? Some business entity has to be making the money before the nonprofit makes money, because that's where they make their money, from donations, whether private, individual, group, corporate donations. And it's the mentality behind it that, oh, I'll, as you said, and as I say in my TEDx talk, like you referenced, we put that on the back burner. We either do one of three things. We either donate, or we set it aside, or we throw those things out. We throw those mailers out. I don't want to see violence in the home affecting so many people getting donated to, or thrown out, or set aside. It's more, OSSO SAFE is all about, let's resolve it right now. It's urgent. It is important. No one should live with abuse, period, over and out. So the only way to actually resolve that is to treat it like a paid service, a paid business with products and services. I hope I make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting approach. I mean, obviously, I'm familiar with all the nonprofits that are already out there in the space. So I certainly agree. There's, a million nonprofits in the space, and this is definitely different. And I also picked up on the fact that you call it home violence instead of what most people in the industry might call domestic violence. So why do you make that distinction?
Right. Well, domestic violence has such a stigma that it is a woman's problem, and clearly it is not. And secondly, it assumes that all of the victims are female, and that's not true either. So I prefer to say, or we prefer to say, home violence. It's more inclusive, and everyone can relate to that word, home. And it's really an oxymoron, right? So I'm trying to get people to think like, wait a minute, home violence, those two words should not be in the same sentence. If it's home, it should be absent of any violence. And I'm saying correct, bingo. So if it's a true home, it shouldn't have violence. So I'm trying to get people to think differently about it, and to really be more inclusive. That would be the best word that I could describe, to actually get people to kind of catch more, what's the phrase, catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Because whenever I do say domestic violence, it's kind of like I already lose part of the audience, because I get kind of the reaction, oh, well, this doesn't pertain to me. I'm fine. I'm in a good relationship. So then I lose them. So, but with home violence, I get more of an audience. I get more of a traction, if you will, that people could really relate to, because everybody lives somewhere, and that would be your home, your place of residence, if you will. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense to me. And certainly you want more people involved in the conversation, not less. So if by saying home violence encourages more people to listen to your words, then by all means, I'm all for it. You also believe that the eradication of home violence must not be in the hands of victims. Instead, you talk about the responsibility of institutions of society. So we're talking about schools, workplaces, and even in our everyday conversations. But it seems like the only time that we're talking about these issues is that, when we find out about politicians that are involved in home violence, or entertainers that are involved with home violence. So how do we make all of these conversations more mainstream?
By doing what we're doing, talking about it, over and over again, having these conversations, even when you are at in the workplace, at schools, with your neighbors. And we at OSSO SAFE, we make it a point to make this taboo subject untaboo. I think the awareness has definitely increased, and with COVID, I think it has shed a light on a global level how much home violence has spiked across the globe. I believe the percentages are like, if I'm not mistaken, 85% across the globe between home violence calls coming into all of the 800 numbers and just shelters being just inundated with people saying, look, I just got beat up, or it has escalated. We're in close quarters. I'm homebound. My husband just beat me up. My wife just beat me up. I just got sexually assaulted. I mean, so, and the more that we can talk about it, and however, we need to also provide solutions. Again, this goes back to you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. If we make it a point to talk about solutions, we're very positive at OSSO SAFE, we're very empowering. We don't see this as oh, this is horrible, this is never going to get resolved. Absolutely not. We're very positive, we're very empowering, we're very encouraging about the whole subject, because we do believe that with what we are implementing and introducing, and I'll talk about that later on in the interview, I think it will change the face of residency, which is the root cause of all violence, really. Because if you think about it, it all starts in some type of residence. So the more that we make the connection with school violence to home violence, workplace violence to home violence. For example, the ones that just happened in, what is it, Atlanta? And then the other one in Colorado, I think it was, or Georgia. I mean, there's so many. There's just so many. I mean, pick a day. There's a shooting somewhere. Someone just got killed or seriously injured. They're in the hospital. If you trace back those shooters and to their home life, 9 times out of 10, their home life, they were in violent relationships. They had problems at home. They grew up with violence. So the focus has to be on residency, period, over and out, which is what we focus on. In fact, I think we're the only company that makes that connection, because if you make home safe, then other places will become safe automatically. So, and this is all part of having that mainstream conversation, because everybody can relate to their home life. For example, Nicholas Cruz, the shooter in Parkland, Florida, who shot up all of those students and teachers, and he was a foster kid, and he went from one foster home to another, very violent from a young age. That needed to be nipped in the bud when he was a very young boy. And by the time he got to be 19 years old, he was dating someone. The girl broke up with him. He took it out on the school. It's almost too late to do something at that point, because at that point, people are dead. They're murdered. So having all of these conversations over and over again, and what we say at OSSO SAFE, look, because I get some resistance, obviously, from corporations, from schools, and they say, oh, well, we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. But we're saying the feathers are already ruffled and the boats are already rocked. Violence is happening. So for anyone to say, oh, no, it's not happening, everything is fine here, you're lying to yourself. So it's better to have the education. Let's talk about this. Let's empower people, know what the warning signs are, and be proactive. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, absolutely. You did, and then some. Let's talk about that last statement there. What are the warning signs of an abuser?
Yes, there are so many. Isolation is one of the biggest ones. If you're dating someone, and whether male, female, it's irrelevant, and they start telling you, oh, don't hang out with your friend. And meanwhile, this friend has been in your life for years and years. You know them, that you have a good relationship with this friendship, with this person as a friendship, and all of a sudden you're dating someone and they're isolating you from friends, from family that you've always seen. That's a big warning sign. If they change how you look, how you dress, oh, that skirt is too short, it makes me very jealous when you go out, why don't you let me take care of your finances? Meanwhile, you just met the person. And this goes for male and female. In the workplace, if you come in and you're wearing dark glasses, yes, it could be that you have maybe sensitivity to light, but chances are you're hiding a black eye. If it is warm outside and you're wearing long sleeves, yes, it could be that you're cold because of the air conditioning, but it could be that you are hiding bruises or baseball bat wounds or cuts from a knife of your significant other or your partner that did this to you. If there is where you're starting to feel like guilty all the time, like, oh, I have to protect this person because, wow, I make them jealous, or I shouldn't take out the garbage. They told me that I shouldn't take out the garbage until the kids are put to bed, or, you know, and you have children and you're dating someone that you just met, and you start living with them. These are all warning signs that show up that are really good indicators for you to stay away from that relationship. And they're always there. Like I mentioned, and it always starts verbal. It usually starts verbal. No one, because abusers, they know what they're doing. 9 times out of 10, it's not unconscious. I mean, it is unconscious to a certain degree, because chances are, more often than not, they come from abuse themselves, abusers. So they carry on, they perpetuate the abuse in their current relationships. But a lot of the time it's calculated, especially with sex abuse perpetrators. They stalk their victims, especially children. Children are easy targets for so much abuse, all of it, really, verbal, physical, sexual abuse. So these are just some of the components of warning signs, really. A lot of change happening, where whatever you did before that you thought was good, now, wow, you don't dance anymore, or you don't do your art anymore, or you don't play football anymore. And the excuse is usually they'll say, oh, it's because I'm jealous, or because, you know, I don't want anyone looking at you. And this could be male or female. All of these things are warning signs. And you need to know, I deserve to be in a good relationship. I learned this in an OSSO SAFE workshop, in an OSSO SAFE seminar. I deserve to be in a good relationship, that there are good people out there that are worthy of my love, my affection. So we make it a point to say this over and over again, because it's a practice. So I hope I answered the question.
Definitely. And, you know, I really appreciate you mentioning it could be male, it could be female, it could be straight, it could be a gay relationship, whatever it is. I think there's this myth out there that it's only the men that are perpetrating these types of crimes. But obviously you open it up to a discussion with everybody, which I think is incredibly important, that we bust that myth that, you know, it's just men. Obviously women can be abusers as well. And I also want to talk about some of the warning signs of the victim, because you might be a fraternity brother, a sorority sister, and you might see some warning signs that there is a victim that is, you know, let's say living in your home, for example. So what are those warning signs of a victim?
Isolation, again, isolation, where the victim isolates himself or herself from, let's say, a party or a gathering, or you knew that Sally or Tim, good friends of yours, or close student interaction, wow, they were always at a party, they were always very active in this club, in this fraternity or sorority, and now, wow, something is amiss. Their personality changes. They were outgoing and now they're quiet. Change of clothing, where the women are wearing longer skirts, or and it used to be that they were very they just liked fashion more and more very open with fashion, let's just say, and now they're wearing pants, or and they're completely like I said, if they were one way personality wise, now they're completely different. If they are they're you don't see them anymore, like if you don't see them anymore, and yes, a lot of things can happen in a person's life. Maybe there was a death in the family, maybe there's a sickness in the family, maybe it could be they just signed up for all of these classes and it's taken its toll on them. Yes, but I would advise, ask these questions, and don't ask it once. Ask it once and then let a couple of days go by. Call, email, repetition. Is everything okay? You can talk to me. I'm not going to blame you. Offer even a place to stay if you need to crash by me. I'm here for you. I will listen to you. I'm not going to blame you. You're not alone. It's not your fault. All of these things will help a victim. Eating disorders is another big one. They had good eating habits, good sleeping habits, and now you hear that they're bulimic, they're anorexic, they put on weight, or they drastic weight loss, or they're having trouble sleeping at night. They have certain marks on their hands, or they have certain bruises. And yes, people fall, people trip. Absolutely. Again, this goes back to asking not once, asking several times, and be really, do not tell them that they need to leave, because then you're going to hit upon resistance, and that victim will probably stick up for their abuser initially. No, it's me, everything is fine. They'll play it down. They'll completely play it down. No, I'm just studying a lot. I have a lot of classes, and so on and so forth. Just keep trying, keep trying. Let some time pass. Leave little notes, emails, if you have their email, if you could drop a little note in their bag, in their on their tablet, in any which way. Repetition is key. So these are some of the most prominent warning signs that I like to give people. Some more obvious than others, but they're all warning signs of a victim. Same goes for children. In a classroom, if they were outgoing, very talkative, very outgoing, and all of a sudden, and not even all of a sudden, I would say it's a gradual change where they isolate themselves and they're acting out, quote unquote. There's trouble at home. There's trouble at home. There's bullying going on, which is another form of abuse. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I would say those are the most, it's a good question to ask. Warning signs of an abuser, warning signs of a victim.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's really important. And you referenced the OSSO SAFE workshop that you offer to schools and universities. If the students or somebody listening goes through the OSSO SAFE workshop, what are some of the benefits? What are some of the things that they're going to learn in the workshop?
Yes, there are we feel that information, education, obviously is power. And I know you know that because your focus is university consciousness and education, obviously. So knowing these warning signs these are one of the biggest benefits. I wish I had this education growing up, either at a high school level, at a junior high school, university level. The workshop will decrease absenteeism and tardiness, because when you're living with or surviving violence, I should say, at home, your grades are going to suffer in some capacity. So having this type of education in the form of a workshop, and we make it interactive. So it's not just lecture. It's not, in fact, it's not lecture. It's, yes, we do the education, but then we put it into practice right away. So that way students feel, wow, I feel like I can do this. I can do this when I'm in this relationship, and wow, I know I need to get out of it, because I just learned that these are the warning signs, and I didn't even realize that I'm repeating patterns of my parents. This will make the connection, the very important connection between home violence and school violence, or university violence, I should say. It will improve students' learning capabilities, because then their grades will improve. Students will feel safe and empowered. They will have better relationships, better friendships. We do everything we can to create a safe window of necessary communication where, like I said before, we make a taboo subject untaboo. So that way they're encouraged to talk about it with their peers and to help each other out versus isolating each other. No, it's checking on each other. Is everything okay? I'm here for you. We just did this workshop. You know that you can count on me. Students need to hear this from each other on a regular basis, and this has to be put into practice. So that is another benefit of the workshop, is that this isn't just one and done, Michael. It's a practice. We have to do this over and over again until it becomes part of our DNA, essentially. So, and when we do these workshops, I get compliments from the faculty and from the professors and the administrators, like, wow, this was really empowering. And I feel like I could have this conversation with my kids at home. And then it's like a positive domino effect. So these are the benefits, among others, but I want to be respectful of time. And we tie it in also with pornography, which is a big driver of violence in the home, in school, university, and especially on college campuses, university campuses. We devote a portion of the workshop to that, to make students aware of that. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you offer that workshop. I completely agree with you. I think we need to be talking about home violence and sexual assault prevention, all of it. I mean, it really needs to be spoken about at least every 6 months on every college campus. And, just to follow up on your point, not only do the students need to hear it, I know they want to hear it. They actively want to have these conversations on college campuses. I can't even begin to tell you over the last month how many phone calls I've received from college students that have basically said, it is beyond the time for us to have these conversations. We needed these conversations yesterday. And literally, when I'm going through the list, we start talking about how to say yes and what does no sound like on college campuses. I mean, literally, we have women, we have men that are standing up and cheering because we just haven't had these conversations, and we need to.
I couldn't agree more. That is so wonderful, Michael. I'm so glad to hear that. And maybe it was COVID that escalated this, or really put a lens that everyone needed to see, that yes, we have to have these conversations and these educational seminars, workshops, speaking engagements, and tie it into the home.
Yeah.
Because how one is raised at home, it will seep into schools, universities, workplaces, etc. So yeah, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, students are ready. I will tell you that. The students are absolutely ready to have these conversations, which is what I love. And I love the fact that students are calling and asking for these programs. The other thing is, obviously, you're a real estate agent as well. So I was curious, what programs do you have available for your real estate clients?
Yes, we are introducing, and we're very proud of this. I mean, it took a while to develop, and I'm just now introducing it and implementing it into the real estate industry. But we have the OSSO SAFE Home Sweet Home package, and it consists of a policy, a seminar, and an app. And we are introducing this right now into the landlord-tenant portion of the industry. We want this to propagate into all residency. But what we're saying is, look, hire us. We will get all of your tenants OSSO SAFE certified, the building OSSO SAFE certified. You buy this package. It consists of the policy, seminar, and an app. We're saying you're a landlord. You promise to provide a safe space for your tenants to live. But you, in turn, as a tenant, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the tenant, the abusive tenant, gets immediately evicted from the premises, and we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. Everybody signs the policy. The rest of the family unit stays in the building, provided that they could still pay the rent. And we get everyone educated on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, just to name a few items. It's a blanket education for everyone, whether they're going through violence or not, whether they are new or existing tenants. And this will get the building OSSO SAFE certified. We put our logo outside of the building. Like I said, everyone signs the policy, everyone goes through the seminar, and we have therapists assigned to the building. So that way, this is where the prevention aspect comes in, along with the seminar. We're saying, okay, you are required in an OSSO SAFE certified building, check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Is everything all right? Do you see anything looming before anything conflicting occurs? If there's something, let's say your kid comes up to you and says, look, mom, dad, I'm pregnant. You're not going to resort to violence. You're not going to resort to abuse. You're not going to resort to any verbal, physical, sexual abuse. You're going to work it out with your therapist that's assigned to the building. And this will mitigate and prevent an episode of violence. If your kid comes to you and says, I'm having a lot of trouble at school, or you find out that your kid is having a lot of trouble at school, whether it be a bully, whether it be grades, you're not going to resort to violence or abuse, because you're held to a higher regard, a higher standard in an OSSO SAFE certified property. You're not going to go there. You are going to work it out with with the therapist that's assigned to the building. So that way an episode of violence or abuse is prevented. And then if violence and abuse occurs, that would be the second level of certification. And that's where we do accelerated therapy. The abuser gets evicted and the rest of the family unit gets accelerated, concentrated therapy. And what's most important in that situation is that the victim gets de-victimized, if you will. Look, and we do this, we say to the victim, look, you have nothing to fear. The abuser is out, because it's no longer just your responsibility to keep him or her out. This is now an OSSO SAFE certified building. We're doing this collectively, landlord, tenants. We are fostering a culture of safety in this building. So it's not allowed. So we're covering kind of all the points in residency. So this is what we're introducing. And the app eliminates the he said, she said factor with violence, with abuse. So we are implementing this into the landlord tenant, as I said, the landlord tenant portion of the industry. And we feel that this will really catch on. One residence at a time, and making it a required standard condition of residency, period, over and out.
Your approach to the eradication of home violence is so interesting to me. I really like your focus on the home itself, and then everything else follows after that: the workplace, the school, all of those things. You mentioned the OSSO SAFE app. Can you explain to us how the app works?
Sure, it is now being updated, but it uses AI, artificial intelligence, and also facial recognition, where it will detect right now violent-like movements and captures them in real time, issuing alerts. So it gets installed, and right now we're introducing this. Look, let's introduce this to the tenants that want this technology in their units, and then we're offering almost like a beta test. And this will, let's say the unit or the building, it has 10-20 units. Well, in unit 2 and in unit 10, wow, I just got an alert. I'm a landlord. I just saw he just beat the crap out of her. And in unit 20, she just beat the crap out of him. The kids are crying. Well, this is grounds for eviction. You signed the policy. You went through the seminar. You knew that this was going to happen. We run this building differently, and I need to keep the rest of my tenants safe. So this will be proof that, look, I have it right as an alert, and it captures this as a 30-second video right now. The violence, it doesn't capture anything else. It doesn't pick up documents. It doesn't pick up conversations. It picks up the actual violence. So this is what the app does. Like I said, it's being improved upon as I'm speaking to you. But and this is where combining education and technology, it will really make a positive impact in residency all around.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. I haven't seen anybody take this kind of an approach, marrying kind of the technology to help with the eradication of home violence. And just the whole approach is just really, really interesting to me. So I appreciate all the work that you do. And obviously, if anybody wants to go and watch your TEDx talk, I think that's another really great place to start. So definitely go and check that out. Now, as you know, we do love really good food here at Fraternity Foodie. And I know that you're in New Jersey, which for me, when I start thinking about New Jersey, I start thinking about great pizza. I start thinking about all the bagels that I miss so much. What's your favorite local restaurant in town?
Oh, thank you, Michael, for asking. And I appreciate your compliments and your positive feedback. I greatly appreciate it. There are several, but there's a pizzeria here, Vinny's Pizzeria, and they make excellent pizza. Just their pasta and everything. It's authentic Italian food and Southern Italian. And I'm Italian. My parents were born and raised in Italy, and I travel there quite a bit. And anything close to what the palate in Italy is a big go-to here, in New Jersey, in the tri-state area, but in New Jersey. And I believe they are Southern, like I said. And there's also Martini Grill in Woodridge, New Jersey, and they make very good food as well. And Bazzarelli's, of course. Bazzarelli's in Moonachie, New Jersey. They're a great restaurant, also Italian. So yes, I share the same. I think pizza's a great it's a great food, actually, made well. It covers all your bases.
Yeah, I love that you found something comparable to Southern Italy in New Jersey, because I tell you what, just the tomatoes that they grow in Southern Italy is just unmatched anywhere else in the world. So the fact that you can find something comparable in New Jersey, hats off to you.
Right, right. Yes, I agree. I agree.
That's great. So if our audience wants to book you as a speaker, or maybe they want to connect with you and ask you some questions as a follow-up to the TEDx talk or to this particular podcast interview, where's the best place for them to go and to learn more and connect with you?
Yes. My website is ossosafe.com. That's OSSO and then SAFE.com. And there is a booking page right there on the website. I'm on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Alignable. My direct email is sabrina@ossosafe.com. But those would be the best ways to reach us for sure.
That's wonderful. So that's OSSO SAFE. It's OSSOSAFE.com. And I thank you, Sabrina Osso, for all of your help and your work in this area. It's so important. I think the more people that we have talking about this, the better. So certainly glad to have you in the industry and have you working with college students all across the country. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, Michael, thank you. It was a pleasure. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, it's my pleasure as well. And to all of our listeners, if you enjoyed Sabrina's talk today, make sure you like it and share it with other college students on campus. And we hope to see you on another episode of Fraternity Foodie. Thanks so much. Bye for now.